This evening, it is my honor to present the National Equality Award to an organization and its leader that we are proud to call partners in the fight for equality. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the oldest and most respected civil rights organization in America. For more than a century, the NAACP has fought for a country that extends equal rights and equal opportunity to all our citizens without reservation. When I took on the job as HRC president earlier this year, I had no doubt as to whose advice I most needed. My very first meeting on the job was with the NAACP's visionary leader, Benjamin Jealous. Let me tell you something about Ben. He has never turned away from an opportunity to do what's right. And just this past May, as a direct result of his leadership, the NAACP vowed to support marriage equality as a continuation of its historic commitment to equal protection under the law. Let this award be a testament to the fact that our organizations share a vision of an America that lives up to its founding principles. Take a look at what the NAACP's support means for our struggle to secure equality for all our families.
The NAACP is 103 years old, the nation's oldest civil rights organization. Today they announced that they are endorsing equal marriage rights for same-sex couples.
The discussion that took place on Saturday was not really so much a discussion of what the president said, but a discussion about where the NAACP needs to be at this point in time.
The other reason this is a big deal is emotional. It's personal. Something kind of remarkable happened when the group's national president, Ben Jealous, made this announcement about his organization today.
My parents' own marriage was against the law at the time, and they had to return here to Baltimore after getting married in Washington, D.C. And the procession back was mistaken for a funeral procession because it was so quixotic to people to see all these cars with these headlights on, having to go from one city all the way to the next just so they could have a party after they got married in their own home. It's an important day.
I think the NAACP statement was critical because it's helping people to understand the appropriate context for framing the issue of marriage equality. The issue of equal treatment under the law is a public policy issue. It is a civil rights issue and not an issue of subjective religious doctrine and theology.
There has been talk on the anti-gay right of trying to use the issue of same-sex marriage to turn gay people and black people against each other in this country for political purposes.
Of course they're going to be able to find, some black person who wants to make this their issue. But the reality is that folks know when they're being played. They know when there's a group that's anti-civil rights to their core, who's trying to dupe them into following them, down the wrong road.
Because this is not, we don't have a patent on rights in this country. Black people don't have a patent on fighting for civil rights. This is something all Americans want to do and should do, and we ought to be proud that others have imitated.
Because of the strength of this organization is that we have never in 103 years had to ask the question if we will win. We have only asked the question when we will win.
Surrounded by your embrace, baby, I can see your halo. I pray you won't fade away. Halo, see your halo, 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 see your
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present the National Equality Award to the NAACP and its president, Ben Jealous.
Surrounded by your embrace.
I'm proud to accept this on behalf of the NAACP, on behalf of our 1,200 volunteer-led active units across this nation, and on behalf of our 64-person board who overwhelmingly voted to support marriage equality, including our chairman, Rosalind Brock, and our past chairman, Julian Bond. I'm proud this evening to be joined by leaders on our national staff and the leader of the Maryland NAACP, Gerald Stansberry. Like his peers in Maine, Minnesota, and Washington State, Gerald is on the front line fighting for marriage equality every single day. Especially proud to be here with my wife, Leah, tonight. This is our first date since our son was born on the 4th of July. Sitting at our table, a civil rights legend. When I say this man is a civil rights legend, let me make this clear. He was the organizer in Memphis leading the sanitation workers when Dr. King was killed. Bill Lucey, who 30 years ago stood up at a tough and contentious union convention and said that the fight for LGBT rights and the fight against racism were one and the same. In the more than 4 years that I've been president of the NAACP, I've made it very clear that in order to have friends, you gotta be a friend. Because as Dr. King once said to a teacher of mine, if you're comfortable in your coalition is too small. Our society must realize the promise that our school children recite back to us every day when they say our great pledge. We must truly become one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. That pledge is what we aspire to as an ideal, but is not the lived experience of millions upon millions in this country. And it must be. We owe it to our children, for when they say that pledge, as my 6-year-old daughter does every day, they don't think that's where they may live one day. They know in their hearts that's where we live right now. And I'm not going to disappoint her. In order for us to become one nation, all of the leaders in this room, and we are all in one way leaders, all of us in this room, we must act as if we are one nation already. So it is with pride that I ask you to join me in the rallying cry of the NAACP. I think you've heard our president say this once or twice. Fired up, ready to go. Fired up, fired up. As a great American family, whether we were born here, whether our families sacrificed everything to be here, what binds us together is our commitment to persevere in the face of great odds. Not to just secure our individual family's future, but that of our neighbors too. As American parents, we believe nothing more fervently than that every generation must be better off and more open-minded than the last. As an American people, we celebrate the many times that our nation has led this world away from hate and ever towards hope. And so in this precipitous moment, when we as a movement are on the brink of massive change and tremendous progress, when here we are less than 50 years removed from when my parents' own marriage was illegal in our home state of Maryland, when here we are finally at a place where we can be confident that the day will come when marriage equality will be the law of the land in every single state. Let us stand up for marriage equality from coast to coast and border to border. Let us stand together against racism as HRC did when you joined us at the Stonewall Inn last March to declare our joint opposition to racial profiling in New York City. And let us keep on standing up together until this great country finally becomes, as our school children pray for it to be every single day, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and God bless.